So you've done all of the hard work. You've got your client into the studio, you've delivered an amazing session, you've taken them through the sales process, and they've said yes, but they need to think about it. It's the worst sinking feeling. You're so close yet so far to turning this prospect into a paying customer. Now, there's some common objections that people always kind of throw up in that last point where they're ready to give over their bank or credit card details. Now, it's mostly this list of 6 right here. We're talking about time, money, spouse, inner belief, motivation, or simply a fear of failure. So this video is designed to arm you with a response to that objection. As an awesome salesperson, one of your skills needs to be overcoming objections because they're always going to be there. It's not just a walk in the park, easy sign-up process. People naturally want to self-sabotage, and objections are just the final piece of that self-sabotage. You might have shown this person exactly all the logical reasons why they should definitely start, but what you have to do here is do it one more time with their key objections. Now, the biggest two are obviously time and money. People will always say, I don't have the time or I don't have the money. Now, as PTs, what do we say to that? If we don't have an armed response, if we're not ready for that, it can really catch you out in the sales process and that client can slip through your fingers. So what we need to do is understand that everyone has the same amount of time every week, and it's your job to teach that client that they can make the time to fit in your personal training sessions. So say, I'm going to work with you one-on-one on redesigning your schedule, developing a routine, creating healthy habits and rituals so you're more disciplined, and that way we'll be able to create some time in your schedule for you to train at the most convenient times where you're going to get the best results. Simple. Just simply do not take no for an answer and using time as an excuse. It's a real cop-out. Now, the other thing is that you call them out. Now, if they're actually using time, it's such a poor excuse. Are they serious anyway? So what you could do is completely flip it back on them. You know what I think? I think that's just an excuse, and I think you're just trying to get out of it and self-sabotaging, doing something that you know is great for you. Would you ever say that in an actual sales consult? Be brave and do it, because you risk losing the sale if you're not authentic and if you're not direct. If you do say that and your client comes back and says to you, you know what, you're right, that develops a deeper level of trust and you will get the sale. So then we move on to money. Now, money is obviously a big one because PT is a luxury expense. It's not something that we need for our survival. It's not like rent or food or like car payments and things like that. So often it's the first thing on a budget that will get cut, personal expenses. So the thing here is that what's the wasted income that people are spending their money on? The things that aren't actually helping them feel good or improve themselves. Now, this could be obviously food expenditure, coffee, alcohol, wine and beers, could be social events. And one of the big things with money, when they see your prices, I can't afford this. You're too expensive. Well, one, you should take that personally because they don't value your service. So you've either haven't done a good enough job in showing them the value, or they have a distorted relationship with money and you need to re-educate them on that. So what we do is we sit them down and we go, okay, let's go through your budget. So how much can you contribute from your weekly expenditure into getting this goal or this result? So they'll go through, I haven't really thought about it, or $100, cool. Okay, so tell me, how often do you go out a week? How much do you eat out? 3 to 4 times? And what would be the average spend? About $15 to $20 each time you eat out? Yeah, about that. Okay, cool. So there's $80 you spend just on going out. And what about the daily expenditures? Do you get coffee every day? Yeah, I get a coffee every morning. Sometimes I get one in the afternoon. So would you have 6 or 7 coffees a week? Cool, that's $5. That's another $35. What about wine? Do you drink any wine or have any alcohol over the weekend? Yeah, I normally have a bottle of wine on Friday nights and sometimes on the weekends. So could we just say, as a conservative, just 1 bottle a week? Cool, okay, that's another $20. See how there you very quickly just found $140, $150 that person can then use on their personal training. So then what you got to do is show them that and show them how shocking that is. You're just spending this money on something that's not even making you feel good. So what we're doing here is we're simply redirecting the waste and putting that into something that's actually going to completely transform your energy, transform your confidence, the way you look, the way you feel. It's a simple fix. You just put it back on them, call them out, go through the process and educate them. The next one is quite a tough one because a lot of clients will use the spouse or the partner as an excuse, and because the spouse isn't there, it's an easy out for them. You know, I really want to start, but I've got to go home and ask my partner about this because we're on a combined budget. 9 out of 10 times when people go home to actually speak to their husbands or their wives or their partners, what happens is that person doesn't value it the same. So it's not the same experience for them. They're not going to value this investment like you will. So then what you need to do is you need to educate this person further on making a decision for them. You know, there'd be things that their partner does for them that they're fine with. And this needs to be one of those things. It's PT, it's an investment in their health, it's going to help improve their relationship, and it's something that you should encourage them to make the decision now and not seek approval. Or if they need approval, get them on the phone. The next one is inner belief. So a lot of people will not believe in themselves and think, you know what, I'm not worthy. I don't deserve to get the result. So they'll try and kind of use some twisted, dysfunctional form of self-sabotage right at the final hurdle. You know what, this all sounds really good. You know I probably should do this, but I just don't think it's for me. And what that is just, they're trying to like reaffirm that negative story they've been telling themselves for so long that, you know, you're no good, you're not worth it, you can't do it, you shouldn't do it. So what you got to do then is just like soften yourself again, be empathetic and build them back up. The people that do that generally don't have high levels of confidence or self-esteem. So you just got to soften it up, don't come over the top, go underneath and really lower yourself and make yourself soft and susceptible to how they're feeling. You got to get a bit more emotional again, bring them back through that process. Then we move on to motivation. Now, some people just don't care enough and they seem like they're disinterested or motivated, like they know they should, and it's almost frustrating for you as a trainer because you're like, you know, you get great results if you start with me, but you know, they're not showing or exhibiting those signs of motivation, like they really want it. And generally that also comes from like a negative story as well. And the thing is, they actually need a bit of shock. Like you actually got to shock them into making the action. And that could be with a line or a different thing. Like if you actually continue on this path for the next 5 or 10 years, what you're actually going to do is you're going to gain 3 to 5 kilos every 6 months. So this problem in 5 or 10 years is going to be a really costly, expensive problem for you then. So that's a bit of reality. You know, we know that that could happen. So that's a bit of a shock. You could also talk about some of the things that are holding them back. They might have individual barriers. This is where you transition and get a little bit back into the pain of what they're experiencing. There must be a reason that they're there for you right now. So you've got to dig up the pain and make sure they start feeling that. Get them motivated to change it. Make them feel uncomfortable. Make them squirm a bit. That's okay if they're demotivated. Don't do it if they're lacking belief, because that's going to completely just make them feel like they can't do it. Cool? So you have to understand that different objections require different responses. And then finally is the fear of failure, which you could closely relate to inner belief. But it's a little bit different fear of failure, because what happens is that people become conditioned to fail and they see it as a bad thing. So you have an opportunity there in that moment to reframe failure for that person and get them to see failure as a good thing. So, you know, failure is never a bad thing because you're learning. You're making mistakes, but you're learning the lessons along the way. And what you can do is you can take the pressure off them right now. You know, talk about your own personal story in these moments with clients when they're talking about fear of failure. If you can actually make yourself a bit more vulnerable, what generally happens is they go, oh, you know, my trainer gets me. Sometimes as a PT, our clients will actually see us as these unattainable kind of people. Like we live in a different world to them because we're so healthy and fit and we follow our nutrition plan and all these kind of things, but we know that's not the case. We're just human. We make mistakes, we fail too. So share some of your failures and then use that as a way to Make them believe in themselves again. And take away the pressure of failing. Just be like, you know what, if we do go through this process and it's not working out the way we want, we'll just sit down, we'll work through the process again, and we'll recalibrate our goals together. You know, what this is for me is that we're building a relationship and I'm committed to your success. I'm committed to helping you achieve these results. I'm committed to helping you achieve this transformation. So key points for overcoming objections. You must understand that for each unique objection, there is a perfect response for that. And they're not all one and the same. So make sure you practice this. And the best way you can do that is with someone during the actual sales process, but do it with a friend, do it with a family member. Get yourself comfortable actually in that scenario, knowing what you need to say under the pressure to get them to where you want to go during the sales process.